Okay, let's practice The Crack of Dawn, Etude number 9. And this one features some harmonics, double stops, and some unique right hand pizzicato technique that bass players use the two fingers, and some classical guitarists using the thumb as well as the fingers. And that's actually the hardest part of this. I didn't play it very fast. He had marked it so fast I was not able to do it that tempo with the amount of practice. But if you practice long enough, you can do it. I know you can. So let's practice the pizzicato section. I just, for quick ease, I turn around the bow and put it here so that it doesn't rattle. The stick doesn't rattle against the cello. So if it hits, it just hits the hair. I turn it around there. And then, nice and slowly, you'll see in parentheses he's marked the finger to pizzicato with, so it alternates 1 and 2 the whole time. So it goes, and then left hand pizz, first finger, and then 1, and then starts with the second finger. So it just continues alternating. Next part, this is where it gets a little harder because he's got some slurs in there. So again, alternating. 1 is on the beat. 1. And then 2 is on the beat. Etc. Well, maybe not etc. There's some more to be learned, but that is actually the hardest line right there. So let's do this. You could just practice alternating fingers. I would experiment maybe farther away, closer to the bridge. Depends on how much you've done this. You practice rhythms. Then starting with second finger. Practicing different things. You can maybe just do your scales. So more time, you just practice that. At first it's very slow and you think, oh, I'll never be able to do it. I'll just use my first finger. But you got to just invest a little time, and eventually it's much faster and more efficient than just first finger. So let's play it nice and slowly together. Trying to do, you're gonna, again, I would just take small sections. So let's just do like the first 2 measures. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, even slower the next 2 measures. This is the tricky part. You just almost have to think about it. So ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Next bars is where we have the classical guitar. Bottom 2 strings are going to be with the thumb. The D string is going to be with the first finger. And then the A string is going to be with the second finger. So let's do that right from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Harmonic. measure, I do have a tip for you. The harmonics, they won't work in certain spots. So I found right next to the end of the fingerboard works best to bring out those harmonics. And the very high one on the A string on my cello, if I have my finger on there, even in the right spot, it doesn't ring very well. But if I release afterwards, like a harpist, so you have it, you're touching it, and then right after you play it, or as you play it, you release, it rings nicely. Otherwise, I would get a thud. So yeah, again, I would just practice just that part. Next is sort of fun, but not too difficult. Once you get to your third finger, if you can lay your third finger across all the 4 strings. And now we've assigned the thumb, first finger for the G string, second finger for the D string, and third finger for the A string. Is that right? Oh, now I realize that I do it different. I do third for the G string, second for the D string, and then first for the A string. And you just pull it all up. Yeah, I guess he has the opposite. Yeah, I do it the opposite. I do thumb 3, 2, 1. Strum up, then down bow. So, yes, I think I spent 99% of the time on that. That's difficult to get it up to speed. I think we have to be happy to work very incrementally with the with the metronome. Maybe do rhythms, but that's going to take time. That's a real unique skill that we don't develop as cellists. But in the end, very handy to be able to play 2-handed pits and also the pits with the thumb. So let me see. I'm looking at the metronome. How about that tempo? Let's see. Oh. Yeah. That's going to be too fast when we get to triplets. Da, 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 da. That's too fast. So let's practice the pizzicato even slower. Half tempo would be 66. So let's do 66. Half tempo is always a good rule. Let's try that in the pizzicato section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now let's do the whole thing slowly. Because the tempo's changed so much, I think we're going to try it without the metronome. We're going to take it nice and slow. You see there's those string crossings. The second line, last measure, gets quite fast. It's incredible how much easier it is if you get closer to the frog, ever closer to the frog. So, Now I just try it on one chord. The middle, it's a little bit freer, but you can't play it as fast. So let's see, are there any of the spots? We have the thirds again. And that's probably the most difficult. So that's the fourth line, second measure, and it's on right before, it's on the third beat. So establish the G to the open string. And then use your ears. Try too low, too high. Just right. So that is a little tricky. Thirds are probably the most important and the most difficult on the cello. So practicing those is very useful. The rhythm at the end is a little tricky, but I think if we're slow and we're tapping our foot eighth notes, it should be okay. So I think we're ready to try this. Let's try this. Slow tempo. Harmonics. And I actually changed bows for this one because it's a little softer, and I couldn't control the pianismos with the other bow. So I took a softer bow, and you can loosen the hair a little bit, and you can tilt the bow a little bit. So you're just using a few of the hairs. That gives you a little more control of the pianissimo. So let's try this. Cello. So yes, there's a slap on the side of the cello. I think when I played it, I forgot about that. I just went. Or you can come up with your own sound, you know. Come up with your own sound that you like. Or how to knock the cello back of the cell. Come up with your own variation. What was the other thought that I had? Always think of things when you're practicing it slowly. Yeah, have fun practicing the crack of dawn. And the crack of dawn, the name, the title, I just assumed it was early in the morning at the crack of dawn, you know, just barely any light, right? And by the end, it's full light. And it's forte at the end. But he said the crack of dawn was actually, he thinks that the crack of dawn is that sound, that cracking sound. I have to work on my sound, my crack. I'm scared to hurt my cello. It's pretty difficult to hurt a cello if it's in good repair. But this is an older instrument, so I try to be a little bit more careful. So, I think that's all. But please send any questions, make your own version, upload it, let me know. I'd love to hear how you interpret this.